What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So before we get started today, I do want to thank all of you guys who have subscribed to the channel. I did hit my year goal of getting 1,000 subs today. I want to thank you guys very much for making that goal happen. Today, we're actually going to look at one of the most requested things that I get all the time is about ships. And I did a roster review a couple months ago or so and did not cover my ships, and I wanted to go over that, let you guys see what I'm farming, the teams that I like to work with, and then also go over some PvP options on how to use those lineups that may be helpful for you as you're building your ship roster. So let's hop over and get that started. But before we do that, if you are new to the channel and have not hit that subscribe button, please consider doing that down below for some more videos and guides in the future. All right, let's hop over and do a quick roster review of my ships. So I got it in by power level right now, but my main ships that I work with on a regular basis that you guys probably see in my GAC streams if you're watching those is my Geos and my two Separatist bombers here with the Vulture Droid and the Hyena bomber. This has been kind of my bread and butter ship lineup that I farmed from the beginning and has been very solid for me for a long time, for quite a long time before people in my shard started getting malevolences and negotiators. I was in the top 5 every day. I haven't been able to unlock those ships, but soon I will have my malevolence that will go along with this ship to kind of jump back into the top 5. So I highly recommend going after these Geos early on. It's a really good core team to work with. It has a lot of synergy within itself, and it will go very well against those people if you're in a new shard that are buying the hyperdrive bundle. It will definitely take out the lineups that you get with that. So this is a very, very good lineup, and I use it quite a bit. And I'll go over some of the different counters that I use, because one thing about ships is that, you know, the way that you put the ships in, the order that they're used in, can really change up the way that people can counter those and have to fight against those. So I know ships is kind of like a bad subject for a lot of people, but one of the key things about it is it does have a lot of flexibility in how you use your ships. Even using your ships in different orders can really change out the way your lineup works to counter other ship lineups. So I'll go over that here in a second. The other thing that I'm working on, obviously Houndstooth is a really solid ship to get early on. I highly recommend going after that ship. It's one of the main ships that in the game. Now there are a lot more counters to it coming to it this day, where I'm not as afraid of it as I was when I first saw it in my shard, but it's definitely one of those core ships that you'll want to farm up at some point during the game. Now if you're going Galactic Republic, Houndstooth, Anakin, Ahsoka, those are some really, really solid starter lineups there. You can also throw in 5s as ship in place of either Anakin or Ahsoka. Usually take out Ahsoka and bring her in and throw in 5s for the starting lineup for that. So you do 5s, Anakin, and Houndstooth. But the Ahsoka, Anakin, Houndstooth starter for Galactic Republic lineups works really well too. So this is one that I have been farming up for defensive purposes in my GACs, and it's just a really good ship. One of the best things about Anakin too is it is a Houndstooth killer because of this move here. Impending Assault puts immunity, or puts healing immunity and buff immunity on the target enemy for 2 turns. If you hit a Houndstooth with that, it's going to cause some issues. So if you see that in a starting lineup, especially one that has high speed on it, it's going to hit your Houndstooth first. You're probably not going to want to start off with Houndstooth because it's going to cause you issues. It'll go down quite quick if it doesn't have that, if it's got buff and healing immunity on it. It's going to cause you some issues. Another thing that I wanted to point out too that I'm working on is Empire in general. So I've got a really good Darth Vader ship, and one of the nice things that they've added in here recently are these different bombers, filling in the tanks that were desperately needed in a lot of these factions. So I'm working on the Imperial TIE Bomber right now. The main 2 capital ships that I'm currently using is Chimera and Grand Moff Tarkin's ship here. Either one of them are very good. I generally go after Chimera because a lot of the lineups that I go up against outspeed me, and this allows me to recover right after I'm hit. This Art of War move here is extremely strong. If you're not able to outrun your opponents, you can actually recover and be pretty good. The other ship starting off, Home One, is pretty good. I know a lot of people are down on the endurance as well, and I haven't put a lot into it, but there are some people in my shard that started off with endurance, going after Galactic Republic, having that Anakin, Ahsoka, Houndstooth lineup that do really well underneath that Galactic Republic lead, getting those bonuses from that ship, and then moving from that on to Negotiator when they get that. So that's a very, very good lineup to go as well. And then Rebels, I'll show you guys in a minute, but there's a lot of Rebels showing up in my shard that use Han's Millennium Falcon, and it is another Houndstooth killer, and there's a lot of different ways that you can go around countering that when you have these ships in the starting lineups that are really going to give your Houndstooth a lot of trouble if you use Houndstooth quite often, which a lot of people do. It's one of the main ships that a lot of people go after early. So let's hop over to my fleet shard here, and we'll take a look at some of the ships that I go up against on a constant basis. So this ship right here, or this squad right here, has been a newer one that's come in, and it is a Rebel focused squad. And what I do when I see Rebels like this, I don't use Houndstooth. I go with this lineup here. I go with the trio starting off with himself, mainly because Sunfac taunts when there's buffs out on the field. It allows me to hide these two if they get hit, because Spy's going to hide a Geo soldier, and then Sunfac's going to eat those up. But then also there's a lot of buffs that go out on those Rebel squads where your taunt is going to be up quite often from Sunfac, and they're not going to be able to get around it. Where if you throw Houndstooth in there, the basic ability on Millennium Falcon will dispel that taunt, and they'll be able to go after your other ships and cause some issues. So normally what I will do is I'll throw the trio in there. If I need another tank, if Sunfac's getting down, I'll go ahead and throw Sunfac in there as the first reinforcement, but most of the time I don't. Most of the time I will go in with Vulture Droid. You can start doing some massive damage when you have those four on the field, especially with the bonuses from that these get together, and the Vulture Droid does a lot of assisting as well. So very, very strong lineup against Rebels when you see those out. And one thing good about Vulture Droid too is when it throws out the droids, it does throw out a buff immunity. So if you're having trouble getting through a Houndstooth, throw those out there, get that buff immunity on there, and take out Houndstooth. All right, so this is a lineup that I use quite often, and for this one, I actually like to use Grand Admiral Thrawn's ship against it and mirror match it. And I would take out Sunfac and throw in this, and then probably bring in Vulture Droid again. Second, you get a lot of recovery here, and this team right here does a ton of damage when they get the buffs up from Art of War, and you usually can take out a Houndstooth quite quickly when you use Spy's ability here. This one right here does a lot of damage. What is it? Here we go. Surprise Shot does a ton of damage, so it's definitely a very, very good starting lineup. You go in, use Art of War after they do their initial damage out there. They're going to probably outrun you, and then use that surprise shot, and you usually can take out a Houndstooth right off the bat with that one, as long as it's not high relic or something like that. But if you have a high relic spy, you definitely can take out a Houndstooth as well. And then lastly, the other lineups that I get quite often are, let's go down here and show you this one right here. So this is that Anakin, Ahsoka, Houndstooth lineup. And if you throw Houndstooth in there right off the bat, you're going to have trouble. So because Anakin seems to always go after tanks and throw up this immunities on there, and it really can cause you a lot of issues. I like to go double tank against this, and I will usually throw in my my bomber, my Hyena bomber, and then throw in Sunfac and go that route, and then usually use Spy as the third starter, and then kind of come in with what I need as I'm coming. Kind of see how it goes. A lot of times you can bring in maybe another tank after that, or if you need that DPS, usually I'll bring in Vulture Droid as long as I haven't had a lot of ships taken out or something like that for my first reinforcement. This is definitely a difficult lineup. You definitely want to go after Anakin first to get him out, so he gets that insane AoE out of there, especially if you're going up against a relic Anakin and he has a lot of speed, and make sure you kind of make him your focus when you can get around the taunt of Houndstooth. So that is kind of it. That's kind of an overview of where I'm at in ships. I'm about to have Malevolence, and looking forward to having that lineup going, and then I'm going to come in and probably make a Fleet 4 Negotiator, and then probably going to do 5-star Negotiator, 5-star Malevolence is my plan for ships in the future. So I have both of those available for GAC purposes. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. If you've got some questions down below, if you want to know some more lineups and how I counter different ship lineups, I definitely can help you out. I'm not a master on ships, but I do quite well most of the time. So if you've got some questions, leave those down below. And if you've got some suggestions for the community, do that as well. And I will see you guys in the next video.